What's up, guys? Chris Schwartz-Edmisten here from Schwartz-Edmisten Web Design. It's been a minute because I got married, but I'm back now and I'm ready to tackle more Squarespace content. In today's video, we're going to be looking at how to create this split layout where the images on the right-hand side automatically rotate through different images. So it's going to be a good one. Let's jump right in. So in terms of the setup of this section, so I just have a couple of text blocks here and then a button block on the left-hand side for the content. And then here on the right-hand side, I've added a gallery block. And you'll see this gallery block option in your block menu if you are a Squarespace Circle member, meaning you've signed up for the program because you have 3 paid sites in your Squarespace account. If you're not a Squarespace Circle member, you won't see the gallery block. So unfortunately, you won't be able to do this effect. But this one is for Circle members that have the ability to add gallery blocks to the page. And that's what I've done here. So if I double click this block, you can see all of the different images I've added. If you go to the design tab, you just want to choose slideshow and you want to automatically crop the images because we want them all to be the same size. And then next we automatically want to transition between slides and you can choose the duration. I think 5 is great. And that's really all we need to do. By default, show thumbnails might be selected, but we don't want to do that. So just make sure automatically transitioning and cropping images are the only 2 things that are selected on this page. Now, the reason that we need CSS is because we can't really resize this gallery block. In fact, if you try and make it smaller, weird things start happening with the content. So we need to write CSS in order to be able to resize this gallery block to whatever size we want it to be, whether that be bigger or smaller. But before we write the CSS, we need to do a little bit more setup. In order to get this block to be full width and full height, we can drag it all the way to the edge of the screen, no problem, but we can't drag it any higher than it is right now. If I hit G on my keyboard to bring up the grid, we have this extra padding up here that we can't drag the block up into. So the way that we can get rid of that is by editing the section and toggling off fill screen. And that way the section gets rid of the padding on the top and the bottom. And so blocks can be dragged all the way up to the top of the section. So now you can see like it's filling up the whole frame. But again, it doesn't really work because we can't resize this block. So it's time to write CSS to make sure that the images always fill the frame, no matter how big or how small we make the frame. So I'll go ahead and hit save, and then I'm going to hit exit, and we'll navigate to the custom CSS window. This might be changing soon, but as of right now in the design, click design and then custom CSS. However you need to get there, just navigate to your custom CSS window. Now I like to section off my CSS snippets. It just helps me find them more easily in the custom CSS window. So I've set up a snippet here with this gallery block style heading, just to make it much easier to find in the future. Now, if we right click on the block and click inspect, that'll bring up our Chrome inspect tools. And what we need to do is just find the classes in order to target this element appropriately. So if I scroll up, we can find the outermost block container. So this div element has a class of gallery block. So we can target this class by copying the class name. And then we target classes with a period in CSS. And now I can open up some curly brackets. So in order to make this image full height of the frame, we need to make sure all of the elements are the full height of the frame. So right now, if I hover over the FE block element, so this is the frame height essentially, and you can see our images don't fill the full frame height. And if I hover over the block content, you can see, so the gallery block expands the full height, but this block content does not. So we need to target this block content class, and pretty much any element that doesn't fill the full height of the container, we need to make its height 100%. So I'll start by copying the SQS block content class. And inside of the gallery block, curly brackets, I'm going to paste in the class. Again, we target classes with a period, and I opened up some curly brackets here. And now I can give it a height of 100%. And now when we hover over that element, we should see it fill up that whole frame area. Perfect. Okay, so now this element has a height of 100%. But if we go inward, this element is not filling the full height of the frame. So this one, the SQS gallery container class, we can use that class to target this element. And we also need that one to have a height of 100%. So what I can do is just add a comma and then target that element. And now you can see as I hover over it here, it's also filling up the full height of the container. So this element here, it has a fixed height given, but again, we don't want that. We want it to be 100% of the frame height. So I'll copy the SQS gallery class for this element, add another comma, and paste in that class name. And then finally, so this one actually is not applying. We can see our style that we've added here is being crossed out. And that's because this height 590 pixels is being written as an inline style. So this style is being applied in the HTML. So whenever you see a style up here in this top like element.style section, that means it's an inline style. It's defined in the HTML. And you can't override inline styles in just, with writing CSS in our style sheet. The only way to override an inline style is to add an important tag. It's the only way to make it more specific than an inline style. So that's what I'll do right now. All right, exclamation point important. And now you can see ours is finally overriding that inline style. Great, so now the blue is filling up the full height of the frame. Next, we can go to the slide. And the slide is actually filling the full height of the frame, which is great. So let me go ahead and toggle the slide open, and then we get to our image. Now our image has a defined width and height in pixel values, so it's not filling the full height of the frame, and we want it to. And you can also see here, like it has a left and top value. So basically we want to reset all these things and just say we want the image's width to be 100% and its height to be 100%. And we want it to start at the left at 0 and at the top at 0. So what I'll do next is come in below these curly brackets. So we've already applied the height to everything, but now within the gallery block, we want to target the image. And I'm gonna, again, set its width to 100%. And these are inline styles, so I will need to use an exclamation point important tag in order to override them. So we'll go width 100% important, height 100% important. And you can see it's starting to get stretched out a little bit. It's looking a little wonky. That's okay, we'll fix that. I want the left to be 0 with an important tag and the top to be 0 with an important tag. Okay, but now the image is filling the frame, and if we resize the frame, the images should all automatically resize as well. So we just need one last property to make sure that the images don't look all kind of distorted like this. But you can see we now have the ability to resize the frame, which is great. So the last property that we need to add, let me just clean up those extra rows. I'll save that and then I'll exit. So what we can do in order to make the image fill the frame but keep its aspect ratio so it's not getting, strangely distorted, is an object fit property. So I'll write object fit, and then we're going to say cover. And that'll allow the image to sit in the frame, and it'll always cover the frame, but it'll maintain its aspect ratio so it won't get distorted. Even if it's really small, you can see the image is no longer getting, all wacky, all distorted. It's keeping its aspect ratio, but always filling the frame. So this is great. So now we have total control over the width and the height of this block. And we can create split layouts that now automatically rotate through a series of images. So just in order to make sure that this content is centered relative to our image over here, I'll hit G on the keyboard and just count the rows. So we have 1, 2, 3 rows above, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows on the bottom. So I'm just gonna wanna shrink that and clean up those extra 2 rows. And now you can see this content is perfectly centered next to this image. And now as we go down to mobile, you might have to rearrange your block a little bit, but the nice thing is on mobile also you can, rearrange this however you need to. And with our CSS that we added, it looks perfect on all screen sizes. So this is a great little bit of code to create split layouts that are a little bit more dynamic than just a static image. You can have them automatically rotate through, and when someone clicks on them, it'll automatically progress through the images as well. All right, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing to the channel for more Squarespace content like this, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.